So let me give you a quick rundown with a whole bunch of people you don't know. But first, I'll start with thanking my mother, who taught me to use a phonograph when I was 2, and she said you were immediately obsessed. And my dad for enthusiasm and that tape recorder that changed the course of the destiny of my life. Bill Drake for changing my name to Shadoe Stevens against my will. Mel Phillips for WRKO, he taught me how to work in the big time, and Rick Rosner, who made me Steve Allen's sidekick on national television and years later put me on Hollywood Squares. There's Hal Matthews at KRLA and Gary Bacosta at K-Rock, and Monty Gass, my first partner in advertising, and Robbie Davis, who was my second partner in both still in my life, and Casey Kasem for leaving American Top 40.
More people will listen to this man than Reagan, Gorbachev, and the Pope. Wow, great expectations. Welcome to this new video on American Top 40 Latin American fans. And this is I like the title of the video, says an American Top 40 Latin American fans appreciation video for Shadoe Stevens. And that's quite a nice way to start, no, with this induction to the Radio Hall of Fame of Shadoe Stevens, taken from the his YouTube channel. Okay, greetings, fellow radio listeners, and from all over the world. Yes, in this case, we're going to do this video in English. You for all the Latin American fans, you have the option to switch to the Spanish subtitles if you want to. Well, what can we say about this guy? First of all, we talked, we had conversations. We've been having quite great conversations with him. It all started back in 2021 when we've been going through this crazy, lockdown, post-pandemic, lockdown. Because even 2020 was that year. I gotta say, we still struggling with this post-COVID era. There's a before and after, I gotta say, and that's what it really encouraged me to say, you know what, I'm going to contact Shadoe Stevens. Whereas before, I wouldn't even thought about that. No, what? No, it's impossible. He's a celebrity. It's just a news. This is in LA. It's a great radio personality. Who are you? It's just a handyman, like a radio handyman and something like that. And I thought, and I started checking on the internet, and I started to realize that there were a lot of people, with just an iPhone making a video on Zoom with this guy, and some radio fan from the north, from I don't know, from Philly, or from everywhere in America, trying to contact Shadoe Stevens. I say, okay, do you want me to have a conversation? Call me, let's talk. And that's say, okay, if this guy can do it, I can do it as well. So I think I sent him not an email, and I contacted this guy. I don't know what channel is this. If I find it, I swear I put it on the description of the video with the proper thank you, because I never thought that would be possible. So I never said, hey, whoever you are, thank you for these tips. So I just left a comment on that YouTube channel where this guy had this conversation and say, hey, how did you do to are you a friend? No, I just emailed him in his website, and he wrote me back, and we just schedule a meeting. Oh, thank you. So I think I previously first I sent him an inbox on his Facebook page. And then afterwards, I wrote an email which was never replied, of course. And I think it's been 1 year later or months later that I got this reply from the man himself, saying, hey, I just checked this out. Yeah, at any time, just let me know. Now I think he was on the East Coast, and he was something like related to work, and I'm coming back to LA in a couple of weeks. They called me again, and I was like, what? I was shocked. I had no what do I say? I was trying to pick up the words to create a sentence that is try to express, not sounding like a like this creepy fan. Oh, I'm your biggest fan. I'm so silly, and just say, oh yeah, no, Juan, chill, and reply to your radio hero, but it doesn't sound like a cycle. And I thought, all right, and yes, of course, thank you for your reply. And whenever you feel like it, we can do something. And well, I look forward to your reply. The usual, letter, Okay, sincerely, no, not so much, something like that. And yeah, that okay. In fact, this video is like this premiering, like a rerun from the first video we did in 2022. I think it was the 2022. And of course, on this YouTube channel, you have the two-part video we did last February. By the way, on my 50th birthday day, and it was such a great treat for me, I must say. Okay, let's get on with it. And we're going to make a little walkthrough to this guy career, and he did such a lot of work. I will give you a card here with, like a video card with all the walkthrough all over his career, but we're going to focus more on his radio, spirit. Like he said, thanks, mom, for. Give me this what's this turntable it's a phonograph or something, or like a radio tuner. In this case, in my case, thank you, mom and dad, for giving me my first radio tuner in order to get up on my roof on Sunday noon. And as my father was preparing a barbecue or Sunday lunch, I was on my roof because I couldn't I wasn't able to catch the radio station properly, so I needed to go to my house roof and put on my 80s headphones and try to tune the radio station in order to catch the latest, and I say quote latest, it wasn't the latest edition of American Top 40 with the Shadow. And that was my first. And so I think my parents for it was my 11th anniversary present. So that's how I want to start this. And okay, first of all, we're going to share a little parts of videos here, the movie tracks, and some of his advertisings. Yes, we're going to share some clips from Frederated, first of all. And that was the first campaign that made him famous on national television. Let's go with it.
Once upon a time, in the sleepy hamlet of Jamestown, North Dakota, Terry Ingstead burst forth on an unsuspecting planet. At a young age, he joined a social club, a notorious gang of young toughs called the Plaid Ooftas. And even at that early age, he realized his greatest asset was his mouth. But it didn't hurt to be a fashion trendsetter. Note the fine chapeau. For him, life was a cycle of events, and he learned to get his way or get even. It was a gun obsession that continued, due in part, no doubt, to his many role models: Hoss, Little Joe, Poppy, and Roy Rogers. And then came that fateful day when Santa asked young Terry what he wanted most in the world. And he said he wanted to be just like Robert Goulet. But he settled for a life on the air, never wanting to live in the shadow of others.
Music of the Monkees and Last Train to Clarksville. Record number 1 last week, number 2 this week. This is the Jefferson K Show. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock. Good evening, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Shadoe Stevens. WRKO, Boston.
7 o'clock at the Big 68. Here's a third, about 5 more together. Norman Greenbaum.
More music, more music, more music, more music.
Rock with a Grin, FM stereo and AM 1500, 106.6.
K-Rock. Okay. And yes, if you want to learn more about this era, I strongly recommend you to watch in the description of the video the link where we have this conversation on K-Rock and everything he's done on discovering English bands from the glam rock era, the early 70s, the early David Bowie and bands like, I don't know, Slade. Those we talked about the Sweet, Gary Glitter, and some other English bands from the 70s. And I was talking about John Peel, you know, the DJ from BBC Radio 1, who was like, he was constantly trying to discover new acts on the the proto-punk scene, and these glam rock bands of the 70s were this station, and was the first one to bring these records from this indie labels. So it's great. It's a great conversation. So this is the introduction to how this young DJ, the youngest DJ, became the creator of what would be later the famous K-Rock radio station.
Have a 94.7 KMET. Tweedly.
This is Fred R-rated. Okay, that was Fred R-rated. Fred R-rated, the character, played by Shadoe Stevens, who was the face of this big store that has this impact on television. As you can see, short ads, straight to the point, and we smash the competition with a big hammer. That was the first thing that we talked about that very first time on Fred R-rated. Something that on these regional markets never saw the light, and it's great to emphasize this, that there was a before and after on his career. Even though we're going to make a little focus on his 80/40 run as a host, because he has this tenure as a host, which is relevant on his career. And for us, it's very, like I always say to him, and we stay with the great things he did on that era. Now let's move on to Hollywood Squares, and that was Hollywood Squares. We have this local version of Hollywood Squares especially on Argentine television. I think it was like syndicated, so they in some way they bought the format and they rearranged it with local celebrities and so on. I think in your country maybe they probably done it with some squares, and on each square there was a celebrity, not the tic-tac-toe, like that kind of game. And let's move on to this beautiful Hollywood Squares era where he was the host. Come on.
New York, City Music Hall. From the third balcony looking down. From the center of it all, Joan Rivers. From the Today Show, Gene Shalit. From the world of music, Peter Allen. From TV and the movies, Jim J. Bullock. From Philippines people, Regis Philbin. Shadoe Stevens. We are the new Hollywood, New York Squares.
I think that there was one, or that he was co-hosting with Joan Rivers, if I am right. We haven't been able to watch this, but of course the national version. So I gotta say this. And there was a movie. Let's watch tracks, because that was a movie that. Sorry. No. This video contains content from Studio Canal, who has blocked it on copyright grounds. Shadoe, come on, give me another copy of this. No, don't deprive people from watching this movie, please. It's such a we won't be able to talk about this. But there was a movie about Dino De Laurentiis studios, and yeah, we need to watch this. Sorry, we can't do that. Let's move on to the Shadoe Stevens era on American Top 40, and now we're going to listen to the first ever appearance of Shadoe Stevens. First of the teasers of the first episode with the new voice of the new host, Shadoe Stevens, and let's listen to these audios.
From out of the musical mist, I'm Shadoe Stevens, and again this week we'll be counting down the 40 favorite sounds to be found at the tip top of the Billboard Pop, the biggest hits in America on American Top 40. Hi out there, I'm Shadoe Stevens, and once again we'll be whipping up another rollicking review of the nation's favorite musical treats, another week of the big beat and the hottest hits in America on American Top 40.
Well, these are some of the clips of the teasers that the radio stations used to play before the show or during the week. So that was the first time, the very first time. Not our case, because we just got into it like this and say, "Oh, a new host. Oh, okay, welcome." Because we never thought that was a quite backstory with the Casey Kasem, the creator. That's why and now we know it, but not back in those days. I want to be clear about this. All right, and now we're going to enjoy some of the best moments, some clips from our friend, it's a Doctor Who fan, from the group, the Facebook group, American Top 40 with Shadoe Stevens, English version, but where we are close, and we're going to, from his channel, we're going to watch some tidbits from the best moments of American Top 40 with the Shadoe. So let's move on. A couple of clips. Here we go.
Now, American Top 40 with Shadoe Stevens, brought to you in part by Levi's 501 jeans, specially made to give you a unique personal fit that no other jeans can match, and by Orion Pictures, Married to the Mob, starts Friday, August 19th.
Whoa, awfully big door. Whoever heard of a marble door? Try and close it here with my back. Whoa. So this is the American Top 40 Hall of History. It's like a cathedral in here. Written in neon along the wall, it says, every record ever played on the American Top 40 is right here in the Hall of History. And below it, there's a granite pillar, a monument to the very first American Top 40 show on the 4th of July, 1970. And on top of the pillar is the very first #1 song ever played. It's kind of dusty. Anna Told Me Not to Come by 3 Dog Men. Look here, the #1 room. Chiseled in stone in the entry, it says, since AT40 went on the air, 429 records have made it to #1. I wish everybody could see this. Every one of them has been pressed into the ceiling. This must be the chapel of chart toppers I heard so much about. The inscription says that over 4,000 records have made it to the top 40, and there have been 940 shows. Whew. And look at this. Over in the back of the room, a shaft of golden sunlight descending from the dome ceiling is illuminating a statue. It's a statue. Casey Kasem. God, this is great. It's pointing
guiding to a marble door. A door with the word studio inlaid in gold. Gee, nice in here. Cool, too. Sit down. I guess I'll just push this button and pull this lever. From Hollywood, this is American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens, here for that weekly trip to the top of pop paradise. We'll count down the biggest hits on the Billboard chart, the official weekly survey of radio airplay and record sales across the USA. Our final destination, the big number one.
Number 40.
4 debuts in this week's countdown, and we lead off with one of them. It's the first time in the chart for a singer known to a lot of happening hipsters in the world.
Okay, that was the very first song announced by Shadoe. Yeah, this is a classic one. Sorry, guys, I know it's very like cheesy, but we need to go back every once in a while to remind us that was a. By the way, in this week there's a new entry by Bobby McFerrin's daughter on the Hot 100, and I immediately they said I immediately associated with the very first song. Shadoe announced on American Top 40, which was "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bob McFerrin. And okay, that was the debut, and it was so exciting to listen to this every time. Now knowing what we know back in the days, and now there was a musical theme, and we're going to enjoy right now from our friend Chad Swain, Dr. 12, is a Doctor Who fan like me. This new music promo here.
I'm Shadoe Stevens. Next week, American Top 40, the next phase. We kick off our 23rd year on the air with a new sound for the show as we count them down. It's massive. It'll make your socks roll up and down. I think it's going to surprise you. Next weekend, July 4th weekend, here on AT40 when we make it happen. At number 37 this week, here's Mariah Carey.
American Top 40.
From Hollywood, I'm Shadoe Stevens, and this is American Top 40. This 4th of July weekend marks our 22nd anniversary, and we're celebrating the start of our 23rd year with a dynamic new sound for AT40. The music you're hearing right now is just the tip of the iceberg. But before we start out this week's Star Spangled Hit celebration, let's look back at last week's top 3. At number 3 were the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, on occasion of the 4th of July edition of American Top 40, there was a new rebranding, and if that's a word, rebranding. I think it. Okay, leave it in the comments if I was wrong. Especially all of you guys, the English-speaking guys. I'm not a native speaker, I'm just a guy from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and this is just a walkthrough to our friend Shadoe Stevens' career, and that was the moment where the music theme changed on it was since 1992, right? And let's check this out. Well, there's a lot of things to share here on this AT40 Shadoe era, but especially the first thing we've heard before was this AT40 Hall of Fame entrance. Well, there was a new there's something new definitely here. That you could see him walking on this imaginary hallway where there were these plaques and some marble doors, and I could see the whole thing. I could even smell it. I don't know why, but it was so like we say immersive nowadays. It was so immersive, and that was we talked about that last February on the last conversation we have to this approach to what is now his current product, his current thing, which is, as far as I know, a podcast called Mental Radio, which is like a whole experience, I have to say. Guys, this is a Shadoe Stevens Appreciation video. We're getting to the final part of this video, which is basically mental radio, and we're going to share some of it on Spotify. Let's check these little excerpts from the last video we did with Shadoe. Come on.
Basically, the guy in the story is in the middle of the night, is taking care of is in the lion cage, and he's
Again, a zoo.
and he's had his lunch, and it's time to get out, and then things take a dark turn.
Okay, let's go for it.
As the puma and lion tore apart a horse belly and the leopard and cheetah fought over a beef carcass, Gabriel licked the last flick of barbecue off his cheek, threw them another pig knuckle, and started to leave the lion enclosure. He hit the keyboard 477 GRR, but instead of the mechanical whir of the gate unlocking, he hears.
Weird.
And he tries again.
Oh, for God's sakes, 4777.
Please dial 4** on the keypad to reset PIN.
You always hit 0.
Good morning. My name is Octavia. How can I provide you with excellent service today?
You can unlock this gate right now. The lions are going to finish their dinner in about 2 minutes.
Certainly, please enter your PIN on the keypad.
Yeah, it's not working. That's why I called you.
What's not working, the PIN or the keypad?
Could you just open the gate?
Of course, please enter your PIN on the keypad.
It doesn't work.
The keypad or the PIN?
The PIN!
I see. Would you like to reset your PIN?
I'd like you to get me out of here.
Of course, please enter the most recent PIN you remember on the keypad.
The one that doesn't work?
The keypad or the PIN?
The PIN. I need you to unlock the gate.
It sounds like you'd like to unlock the gate. I'm sorry, there have been too many attempts. You've been locked out. Technical support has been notified. They will arrive between 12 and 2 p.m. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Help me. Help me. Somebody's got to help me.
Okay. That was one of the sketches on Mental Radio. I gotta say that was a great experience last February during my summer and their winter, I guess.
And he finds an oracle. But in this episode, he finds himself at a nihilist furniture store.
A nihilist furniture store combination of, I mean, the subject and they put it all together, acid theater at its best. I mean, it's great. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to ask you, how do you put together all these ideas? But okay, let's share it. Let's share it, please. A nihilist furniture store. Come on.
Welcome to Furniture. Do you have an appointment?
No,
That does not matter. Nothing does.
Yeah, well, I'd like to look on the upside. So this is a philosophy store?
Philosophy? He thinks we sell philosophy? Nein! Here are some paper booties.
Paper
booties to cover your shoes so you won't track in the dirt from wherever you come from. You know, we have booties in Germany, only ours are better. Ours are bootier.
Oh, hey, buddy.
He's not a buddy. He's a schnauzer.
Okay, he's got a name?
Schopenhauer.
Good little Schopenhauer. Good boy.
He's not a good boy. He's a dog in a life of drudgery, on his hands and knees lapping kibble from a dirty bowl.
I love that.
Yes, we'll do Shadoe. Okay, and finally we're going to watch a little segments. I hope this video is not going to be taken down by any reason, because this is the sitcom. It's called Dave's World, which is something that he's been doing during the years of American Top 40. So it's a great sitcom, and let's watch some fragments of the show with him on this. It's Dave's World. Come on, enjoy.
I still have dreams about that rope. Only sometimes it's a fire hose, and it changes into a snake, and it has my mother's face on it, and it disappears down a hole.
They didn't hug much in your family, did they, Ken?
You ask me, they hugged a little too much.
Well, I was great with the rope. Up, down, no problem. Now, dodgeball.
Oh, dodgeball. Don't get me started. Organized, state-sponsored cruelty.
I don't even know why they bothered to have a ball. They should have had a game where the big kids just put your head right in the toilet.
Dave, remember Coach Nassiter?
Ooh, Coach Nasty. Yikes. Oh, man, I haven't thought of him since When did I pass that kidney stone?
Well, I'm sorry you guys have such bad memories of gym class. I loved it.
Well, of course you loved it. You're a girl. Girls don't have to do anything in gym class except hang around by the monkey bars and bring that note from the doctor.
Well, that's just a little sexist, Dave.
I'm wrong?
Want to arm wrestle about it?
Well, I would, but I can't.
Why not?
I'm special today.
All right, that music, my gosh. Okay, that was the Dave's World, and let me give you some background about this. Okay, and as Wikipedia article says, was is. I always look when someone passed away. I know why I do this. Whether this person is alive or dead, I like blah, 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 is or was. Automatically was. Okay, it's dead. I don't know why. Why do we do that? Yeah. Anyway, what's wrong with him? No, and I think it's an American sitcom television show created by Fred Barron that was broadcast by CBS from 1983 until 1987, and it was based on some columnists from Miami Herald, Dave Barry, and it's starring, let's say, Harry Anderson, Delane Matthews, Zane Carney, Andrew Ducote, Shadoe Stevens, Mesha is his Jewish name, Mesha Taylor, I don't know if I pronounce it well, J.C. Wendell. Let's end the opening thing is You May Be Right. Is that, yeah, You May Be Right. It's by the like a Billy Joel cover version of Harry Anderson, Delane Matthews as hosts of American Top 40. Check it out.
American Top 40. Hi, this is the right place on your radio, American Top. American Top 40. Hi, this is the right place on your radio, American Top 40, but I'm not Shadoe Stevens, as you can tell. I'm Harry Anderson, the guy from Night Court.
Noble?
No, he was a different guy. Hey, tell them who you are.
I was not the judge on Night Court, Delane Matthews.
Yeah, Delane and I star in the new CBS comedy called Dave's World. It's on Monday nights at
8:30. No bull.
No bull, that's right, no bull. But we do have plenty of Shadoe Stevens.
But I thought he was out this week.
No, Shadoe's our co-star on the new TV show
Dave's World. How could I forget? CBS, Monday nights,
8:30. Yeah, right. So when Shadoe had a vacation week coming here at AT40, he asked us if we'd sit in for him. He said it would be a piece of cake, but actually it's pretty rough trying to keep this all in order.
Okay, you were a judge for how long on Night Court, and you have trouble keeping order here?
You know, you're right. I hereby sentence everyone to this frequency for the duration of the show.
We'll be here with AT40 Music News, a flashback.
A long-distance dedication, interviews with both Duran and Duran, Janet Jackson and John Cicada.
Oh, I love him. Okay, I'm ready for that piece of cake now.
Hey, what do you say we get going here?
Okay.
Okay, and that was a great episode. I gotta say, that there were many guest hosts, including Jody Watley, Richard Marks, and the actors were great sitting in for Shadoe Stevens. This is it, guys. I wish I could stay longer, but I gotta go to work, so I need to edit this video and upload it as soon as possible. So this is our salute, and this appreciation video from the AT40 Latin American fans community to Shadoe Stevens. I hope you had a great time. Remember to subscribe and give us a like, please, on this video. Thank you for staying the whole video. You did a great job. Okay, see you on the next video. Bye-bye.